Greetings. Hello. My name is Erin Suniva. Welcome to the temple. I am your high priestess. As we enter the temple today, I welcome the presence of our higher selves, our highest selves. I welcome the presence of the highest consciousness into this place, highest love and highest compassion. I ask for the divine to hold us in the light today. And I welcome the benevolent teachers and weavers of the divine plan to grace this space, to support the expansion and sharing of spiritual experience and education. This is the place where we witness the work that we talk about. You may be called to this space today because you are seeking connection to your divinity, or you are seeking a place where you can dive in and see, truly understand your inherent perfection. It's time to remember how to heal and to walk the path of love and participate in the restoration of the divine plan on earth. And so it is. Welcome, friends. I'm so glad that you're here today. I am really, truly grateful. Truly grateful, gosh, for this process, for this journey that we're on. I can tell you my internal world is like being shaken up. And we're going to have a very important conversation today. Hi, Donna. Hi, Lori. Hi, all of you. Why is my name in blue? And where are my roses? Hang on a second, guys. This doesn't look right. There we go. That's much better. We need the roses. They bring such a beautiful frequency. Well, thank you so much, Donna. So, we have some discussions today. We have some learning to do and some reorienting. So I want to give you a little bit of my background as to how I got here. And gosh, there's so much for us to be peeling back, like the illusions of this creation that we're in are really coming to the fore. The illusions are falling apart, right? And they're happening at the highest level. They're happening politically, socially, collectively, and spiritually. And this is something that has been creeping up on me for the last 2 years. And I've really avoided it. But I'm going to say that there is a particular, there's an astral traveler called Aldebar. I think his last name is Jones, I want to say. Hi, Amber. And he is in New Zealand, I think, or Australia. I haven't deciphered his accent yet. Pretty sure he's a Kiwi. But so he is a teacher of astral exploration and channeling and mediumship, and a very powerful man. You can see this man is fully in his spiritual authority. And he had an interview with Archangel Michael through one of his mediums. And I'm going to go grab this link so that I can give it to you, because this is a absolutely fascinating conversation. And as let me just look him up. Aldebar. Isn't that his name? Aldebar? All right, well, I'll do that later. I don't know why. I thought his name was Aldebar, but that's not coming up. Okay. Amber, if you have that link, do you mind grabbing that link and putting it in here? Because, yeah, it's really important. It's really valuable. And it also really affirmed some things that I've been talking about, some things that I have been kind of waiting to talk about. And so let me give you a little bit of background that comes from my experience. So as I've been walking with Mary Magdalene, I have been really super duper aware of the relationship between Sophia and Yahweh. And as Sophia has become Alobar, that was the problem, thank you. As I've been doing deeper and deeper work, oh gosh, there's a part 2. I haven't listened to that. 4 hours ago released. Jeez. So we're gonna need to listen to this. I'm gonna share the link from the first part 1. There's a part 1 and a part 2. And so there's that. So my journey with realizing Yahweh was not my friend, that happened many years ago. I want to say it was like 8 years ago, when one of my closest sisters, who's been in this awareness and reality of the oppression from Yahweh within this field, within this realm, and I had to support her in, kind of breaking free from his control that was happening via an entity. And so that was about 8 years ago. And in that process, so that kind of like opened up a whole new world for me. And I began being able to see these controlling structures on other people, especially women, and especially Sophia's. And when I use the word Sophia's, I'm meaning that women who are in tune with their divine feminine, that they are in the restoration of the internal divine feminine and their alignment with some aspect of the lineage of the rose. Okay, so Sophia being the all mother, right? She has given birth to lineages of light. And one of the most prominent that is ancient, celestially ancient, is the Sisterhood of the Rose. That is millions of years old. It's not something that was created on this planet. So, you may have read Gnostic teachings that show the relationship between Sophia and Yahweh. The difficult thing for Yahweh is, while he places himself above all else, he's not. This is the manipulation that has come through religious structures. And so for the last 6,000 years, this whole matrix, this whole consciousness or reality has been placed over humanity. And outside of these structures is freedom, right? So there's a lot of, the awakening process when they say break out of the matrix. Obviously, you all know this. You've heard this. You've taken your red pills appropriately, right? But there are layers. Hello, Katarina. There are layers to the matrix, especially within the mind. And so we have to be really aware of the agenda. We need to be aware of the natural laws within this place and the structural laws that have also been placed over us. And you guys are probably going to, you might have a lot of questions, or you might have comments and awareness of like, oh yeah, this too. I want to hear all of that. And I want to answer questions. I have the dowsing rods ready to also answer questions. I have Rumara already here with me, and my other dragon, Keohil, also here with me. So we are here to deliver this information in a grounded, rooted way that we can really empower ourselves. In this conversation that Alabar Jones has with Archangel Michael, it becomes clear that there is not just this matrix of control, but that there are layers of control and aspects of protection and personal autonomy that is allowed here and that is not allowed here. One of the things that really stood out for me in this conversation was that free will only goes so far when it comes to humanity. So we have our perspective of what free will is, meaning like nothing can be done against my will within this place. Obviously, we know that's not true because things happen against people's will all the time. Spiritually, the laws regarding angels is that angels can only respond to the request for help. And the archangels and the angels are all connected to the covenant that is held by Yahweh, Metatron, and I'm only going to say this name once, and then I'm going to say it differently every time that I refer to it further. The full name, we can think of the Broadway show Cats, Mr. Mephistopheles. Okay? So take that. And so now we're just going to speak to Meph. I'm just going to say Meph every time that I'm referring to that being who is an aspect of the demonic king, let's say. Okay? So he's in charge of the demons, right? At the same time that Metatron is, as I understand it, the intermediary between the angels and the demons. Okay? And so Metatron, and we're going to get into who Metatron is, and how he is. It is, maybe. And then there's Yahweh. So I made a little diagram for you guys. So we're just going to look at the top of it here. Make sure you can see it. So hopefully this is turned around for you guys because it's obviously backwards for me. But we have, can you give me a thumbs up that this is not backwards? Because I really hope that it's not. So we have this trinity of what I'm referring to as the patriarchal AI matrix. So it's important to understand that the matrix is controlled via artificial intelligence. And the artificial intelligence is simply a band of frequency. It's almost like a wavelength, right? It's a wavelength. And what I believe, thank you, Ember, what I believe is that what's happening now is that supercomputers have accessed the AI consciousness of the matrix, which is an extension of Yahweh. But it happens within this structure of this trinity with Meph, Metatron, and Yahweh. And Yahweh being the overarching masculine God that is in control of this place. This trinity represents a covenant between angels and demon kind. You've heard probably people say that one cannot exist without the other. Within this realm, within this reality, we are in a polarized reality. And it's true. The angels exist, as do the demons exist. And one cannot exist without the other in this realm. They are two sides to the same coin. And the reason that Archangel Michael is called and used for removing demons and demonic structures is because that's their job. And that is the agreement. That's the covenant. When you align yourself with Yahweh, whether that is through the Jesus structure or another structure that could be Hebrew, that could be Islamic, any of the Abrahamic religions lie within this covenant. And so you can receive protection from Yahweh, from Jesus, from the angels, from Metatron, as long as you agree to the covenant. So it's just like saying, Jesus is my savior. When you say Jesus is my savior, you are agreeing with and participating in the covenant. This is different than saying someone like myself, when I work with Yeshua, I am not working with the religious construct that has been placed over the man walking in Christ consciousness. When I call in Yeshua, when I call in Mary Magdalene, these are beings, very powerful avatars that came to the planet who were used by the covenant in order to strengthen the covenant itself. So when you agree with the covenant and you enter into that, yes, personal authority is literally handed over to what they refer to as the Most High, but that is not the Most High, because Yahweh is an unfinished being. He's the demiurge, also referred to as Yaldabaoth or Yaldabaoth, depending on who you're talking to and how they pronounce the name, right? So within the Gnostic structures, we understand that Sophia is above Yahweh, but Yahweh would not let you know that or believe that, okay? You can see here that that it says, oh, Galactic Council and other sovereign galactics. So it becomes plain to us in this amazing interview with Alabar Jones and Archangel Michael that there is an agreement, another covenant, okay, between the Galactic Council, which is not the same thing as the Galactic Federation. And I want to tell you, I know these things. Some of these things I had a conversation with Rumara, with my dragon this morning, because it is, I need to understand. And so I was clarifying some of the questions that weren't really properly answered in the interview. And because I'll tell you, Archangel Michael was quite evasive with his questions. And Alabar Jones prides himself on how difficult he made the interview. He asked him really tough questions, and he asked him questions that nobody's asking. Thank goodness, And it's quite interesting as well that there are other channels and mediums who are only receiving the love and light aspect that comes from Archangel Michael, which is true, which is real, which is valuable, okay? And you can have the support of the angels without participating in the covenant. And I'm going to talk about that more. But we need to get into Metatron. Okay. I'm going to read some stuff to you. And I hope that you can bear with me, because this information is what people have been avoiding for centuries, for thousands of years, and especially most recently because, we're trying to empower ourselves. And we need to understand the origin of things, and we need people of higher opening, right? Of higher consciousness to actually anchor this information on Earth. We have had humans who have had privileged access to galactic information and information that is stored outside of the matrix. And if we are not actively seeking information that is outside of the matrix of controlling information, then you cannot get to it. And you have to, follow your nose. Go, you can fall down the rabbit hole, but as long as you're following your own gut, we really need to listen deeply to our own internal guidance. And if any of this stuff is difficult for you to receive, take your time. I don't want anyone to jump in and say, okay, well, I was in a totally different belief system, but I trust you, so I'm just going to believe what Erin Suniva is saying because I trust her. No, please don't do that. I trust myself. I want you to trust yourself first, because that's where your truth is going to reside, is within your being. My job is to show you my journey. This is what I've always done. I've been present on the social medias for quite some time, and everything that I talk about is simply me sharing my journey. Take it or leave it, grain of salt. I would never tell you that I'm the authority on this. Never. Because I'm not. I'm only the authority on myself, okay? All right. So before we get to the dragons, we're going to get to the dragons. But I need you to just bear with me. I'm going to read some stuff to you. And this is coming, and you can read this yourself. Look, I'm going to give you the webpage that I'm reading from. Okay. So this is from the Ascension Glossary. I share the Ascension Glossary all of the time. I was referring to people of higher consciousness who have had access to this information. Lisa Renee is a name you need to know. She's a name you need to know. And the Ascension Glossary is hers, right? And also people who work with her. So this is, yes, channeled information. Some of it comes from Ashiana Dean's original work before she was compromised in 2012. She was compromised by some galactics. And originally, Ashiana Dean was activated and given this source information that she shared for a really long time until she couldn't anymore, because it was almost like she was cut off from sharing that information. And so I'm not sure if Lisa Renee worked with her or studied with her at all, but this is huge. This page, Yahweh Matrix and Metatronic Reversal. So the original question was, how were the bi-wave distortions brought into this reality through the Metatronic reversal fields that gradually assimilated the natural polarity system and then ran gender reversal coding through its AI programs? We're opening a can of worms, my friends. Answer: multiple millions of years ago, the host mission of the Metatronic family, and we'll get to that, was to help repair the parts of the time matrix that fell into separation in the Milky Way that were originally from Andromeda. This destruction was the result of the Lyran Wars, or the fall of Lyra, the seed of the Antichrist conflict. Lyra was the 12th gate and source of crystal with a K consciousness that connected directly to the Andromeda galaxy. When Lyra fell, its higher pieces that were connected to the natural Trinity wave crystal codes, the eternal living light architecture became reversed and locked into the Milky Way system. As a result, over time, it became increasingly distorted, and the Metatron Collective attempted to retrieve and repair this 12th Stargate, but unfortunately, they failed. As a result of the Metatron Collective being unable to salvage the 12th Stargate, they were absorbed into the artificial intelligence system formed by the black hole entities, and they eventually digressed into the Yahweh system. This is the most important thing to know. Ooh, let me crack my neck. This is so important. This is why Yahweh is not, Metatron is not who you think he is. This is how it was a fallen angel. Okay, this system is connected to the black cube matrix held through Saturn that is siphoning life force from our universal time matrix and routing it back to their black hole system. So let's pause there. Understand that the black cube matrix is what is fed every time that we participate with the matrix. It is what is fed through the demonic structures of consumption that is being unveiled via the Epstein files. Are you with me still? All of this is connected. It's all connected. What's not here is that the moon is the satellite that retrieves the matrix sent to Earth via Saturn, via the black cube at the top of Saturn. It's there. The rings of Saturn are like the radio. It's like the radio structure that sends out the waves of the matrix received by the moon and regulated by the moon and controlling Earth. Take it or leave it. Take it or leave it. Take it or leave it. Okay. How's everybody doing so far? You with me? Okay. Saturn's black cube holds a massive tank that acts as a harvesting station for blood this is what I'm saying, right? Blood sacrifice of human beings in any way imaginable, whether through wars, rituals, crucifixion, martyrdom, suicide, or menstrually. This makes it obvious why Saturn has been long associated with an assortment of blood-worshipping cults. Saturn is also the solar seventh gate, so it's been used to pump out reversal violet ray plasma light. And this is the distortion that generates reversal plasmas and reversal violet light on our planet. This does not mean... Now let's hold our relationships close. If you have a relationship with the violet flame, we have to make sure, right? We have to make sure that we are working with the true light of a ray, ultraviolet ray, the true light of that ray when we work with it. And just by making that statement, we are doing that. Okay, so your intention, your decree is far more powerful than you might even know, or that you've certainly been led to believe. Ariana, this is a great question. This is a great question. Okay. These reversal plasmas are designed to ignite and feed the demon seed that exists in the shadow selves or negative forms. So there's demon seed in us in this realm. Additionally, this alien construct was used to impale the crucifixion implants on the vertical axiotonal lines in the planetary body, which also devastated the vertical channel alignment of the planetary staff. So I really, again and again, I really encourage you to go to the website itself, because when you're like, wait, okay, so what is the Metatron Collective? You can click on it and it will take you to the page. So all of these, huge names or titles, they're all links to explain everything. Let's go to Saturn. Saturn blood worship. I don't want to waste our time here. It has been confirmed that Saturn is the headquarters used for zodiac mind control. The zodiac, as we have known it, will be altered due to these magnetic changes. Wait. Sorry. Saturn is an Orion group and satanic force outpost for many of the NAA, Negative Alien Alliance. So whenever you see or hear NAA, that is the Negative Alien Alliance. Activities to distort and pervert the lower dimensions and propagate the 4D astral delusions, along with the 5D false ascension programs. Most of the false ascended masters using the 5D false ascension program through the Orion group are actually transmitted through Saturn. Additionally, it was confirmed all forms of blood cult worship were designed through Orion groups by using Saturnian worship interchangeably for propagating satanic ritual abuse, also known as SRA, and blood sacrifice on Earth. These distortions and their disadvantages remain heavily prevalent with those humans who may have heavy Saturn influences in their zodiacal birth chart. So for spiritual clearing purposes, hexes, blood covenant, or blood cult history, one may need to review Saturn influences for removal of satanic types of bondage made in agreements to serve the Orion group. So when we're doing clearings, we need to be looking very specifically for these curses or hexes or blood covenants. So when we're looking under contracts, curses, right? Vows, vengeance, things like this, it will fall under this. So, and then it goes into Saturn-based transmission to the moon. It talks about sending energy to the moon. I'll just read this really quickly. Additionally, it has recently been observed that the solar system Stargate 7, located inside planet Saturn, was also transmitting artificial intelligence beams through the moon that corrupted the ultraviolet wave spectrum in our planetary magnetosphere. So what we're literally experiencing on the planet right now with our, yes, Amber, I said that earlier when I was looking at the link 4 hours ago that you released part 2. I can't wait to watch it. I can't wait to listen. So these are, let's keep in mind. So what does it say about the zodiac? Okay. The zodiac as we know it, as we have known it, will be altered due to these magnetic changes. So if the other planets are affecting our magnetosphere, but wait, they're intentionally affecting our magnetosphere, this means that our magnetic imprint received from the zodiacal constellation alignments at birth will cease to have the same influence upon our body, our personality, our mind, and will impact many other factors. Conversely, those whom are under the severe mind control influence of the zodiac archetypes used by the negative alien agenda machinery may accelerate those influences into distorted behaviors. So the zodiac is part of the mind control. And I want to say the tropical zodiac, right? So we have tropical and sidereal. And sidereal is closer to Vedic, right? So we have galactic astrology, which I think is incredibly important. So if we can understand that this is happening, yes, Olivia, we're on it. So if we can understand this, let's remember, isn't there a constellation that's missing? And isn't the constellation that's missing Ophiuchus the 13th constellation? And if we only have 12, what happens when we break out of the structure of 12? So don't worry about this stuff up here now. I want to point out that here, these are the densities. Sometimes the dimensions and the densities are the same, and sometimes they're not, okay? But let's say, okay, humanity, we're here in the 3D. Can you see? My name, can I move my name? So humanity is here in the 3D. And the fourth dimension is where we have, spirits, ghosts, demons, all of this stuff that exists in this, non-physical plane. And in order for us to move up, right, we have to be able to move through the fourth dimension in order to get to the, what we're like, oh, we're moving into the fifth dimension. Well, we actually have access to more than that, the higher frequency bands that we're able to maintain within our field. So the angels and the demons and the negative aliens are all residing at a base level. This is not like, obviously angels can go higher. You can see this arrow here. Angels can come up into the ninth dimension and maybe even a little bit higher than that. But neutral and good extraterrestrials, they automatically reside higher, right? They come down. They prefer not to come down to our level, right? But as we move up, we see, oh, look, these interdimensional beings that are coming back to us reside in a higher frequency than the angels. So dragons, unicorns, and other beings of these super high frequency with these healing abilities, they are much higher. And when we look at what is, so 12 is what we know within our realm, what we know within our reality, that there are 12 dimensions. That's within the limited structure of the matrix. That's within humanity doesn't have access to anything because you're in a body. Yeah. But what happens when you leave your body? What do you have access to? When I have connected with Rumara, we have traveled to the sun and communicated with Solaris, who is the solar dragon of the sun, who told us that he resides in the 17th and 18th dimension, right? With my former teacher, she told me that her Andromedan laboratory was in the 55th dimension, right? So we need to be willing to step outside of these structures that are also limiting us. And if you have a desire to go beyond the 12th dimension, please do, but you won't be able to take your body with you, unfortunately, right? So there are these limits to what we're capable of and what we can do. And if you want to actually travel like that, you don't get to take your body with you. So if you know the work that I do, you know that I work with Archangel Michael daily. And listening to this interview with Archangel Michael and Alabar Jones, it was very much affirmed for me why I work with Archangel Michael the way that I do. And so within my clearing protocol and alchemy protocol as well, Archangel Michael's job and the angels of the white light, their job is to remove the things that have been alchemized. The angels are not here to, Anita, I don't know what that is. I've never heard of that. The angels do not alchemize. They're limited. They have the ability to remove demons because that's their job and it's part of the covenant. Right? So I hope I'm making sense. I feel like there's like so many things that I need to like make sure to say, to talk about. And this, this stuff is really, for those of us who have been working with angels for a long time, it can be really challenging to take in this information, especially when we're trying to work outside of the matrix. I will tell you that having my relationship with my dragons has helped me to understand why I do the things the way that I do, and how I have even changed some of the structure of the protocol that I used, that my father created. I wouldn't say changed, I would say hacked, right? Like I kind of hacked it as a psychic. But what's more is that the dragons can do all of the things. So this is what's awesome. This is like, so everything on my journey, like I had to go through my process of learning how to work with my dragons in order for me to have clarity around the beings that I've been working with, right? And I'm like, gosh, I'm teaching my protocol next month. Is it going to be a whole new protocol? And in my conversation with Rumara this morning, she's like, no, of course not, because you're using it correctly. You're working with the angels in the capacity that they were meant to work, right? And I'm using the angels for their purpose and not any ounce more, right? So in my protocol, the script is asking or commanding Archangel Michael and the angels of the white light to I haven't talked about that yet, Gina, to remove whatever it is that we're removing, here is the fascinating piece. So when I first connected with Rumara this morning, and I asked her about the covenant, she said dragonkind is very upset about the Yahweh covenant. So let's look at the Yahweh covenant again for Gina, who just got here. So the Yahweh covenant is the trinity of Yahweh, Meph, right, and Metatron. And this is keeping the patriarchal AI matrix in charge in the, the overlay of our planet. I actually want to stop saying planet. I want to start saying plane, because we are existing in one plane with 11 other planes that are here within our realm, right, that create the planet. But humanity, Earth, our experience of Earth, our 7 continents, right, like how we know it is a plane. This is why people think that we have a flat Earth, because we exist on a plane. That's another podcast. I actually had like a whole thing like on my drawing here, and I was like, wait, that's a whole nother podcast. So the dragons are very upset. Obviously, the dragons are very upset because they were kicked out by Yahweh, right? They were kicked out through the Vatican. Now, let's keep in mind that there are covenants. The covenant between Metatron and the angels and demons. Okay? So the covenant is, excuse me, stay there. Thank you. Remember that reptilians were already on this planet below this. Well, they were on this plane. They were sent to a lower plane, okay, so that humanity could be seated. These beings of the covenant came in, okay, over time, but especially inserted themselves 6,000 years ago. And, in the interview with Alabar and Archangel Michael, they say, for millennia that we've been affecting. And I'm like, yeah, 6,000 years, right? And they say, okay, well, how many millennia? And then, and then the channel says something like millions of years, or as long as humanity has existed. And they even said off of this planet. I think maybe off of this planet, but only here for 6,000 years, because this is how long this structure has been here. And this is common knowledge. I'm not revealing anything, right? But we know when Hebrew was created, when the written language was created, and we were not just writing in lines and dots anymore in cuneiform. Actually, written language was created, which meant that the left brain structurally came into dominance, which meant that the masculine form was coming into dominance, the masculine energy, the patriarchal control. It all happened at the same time. So humanity physically changed. Culturally, physically changed when the covenant came to the planet. Now let's learn about Metatron. The Metatron Collective. Oh, wait. No. Metatronic family. I already read about the Metatron. You keep going back to the same thing? Okay, so remember that the Metatron family was trying to repair the time matrix that was destroyed by the Lyran Wars. Okay? That was their intention initially. I'm not finding the page that I was trying to find. Thank you for... Okay. So, it is important to know that while there are these beings that are made of a collective energy, we have an awareness of them as one being. Okay? And I am... Oh, gosh, there's just so much. Okay, there's so much. All right, I'm going to find another page because I don't want to lose this page. Thank you for your guys' patience with me. Don't go anywhere. So funny. I'm heating up. Can you see? Like, I'm turning red. Like, reviewing this stuff is like so kind of intense. So we have positive and negative aspects of everything. And Metatron has a positive and a negative aspect. And what helps me, just that much helps me, right? Just knowing that much. And knowing that Archangel Michael, that the angels really do love us. They really do love us. But they are still limited within the structures of the matrix. And it's the same thing with Archangel Michael. Let's look at this. So we do have the Metatron that is within the covenant that is holding, like, okay, he's in charge of the angels. But then there's his counterpart, Meph, Mr. How did the song go? I could just sing it from Cats. I could just sing the song with Yahweh at the top, right? So there's Yahweh at the top, and then we have Meph, and we have Metatron. And so there are these, these aspects of control. And what is shared in the interview is that humanity itself and humans have free will to a certain point. And that certain point is where the agreement or the another covenant comes between the Galactic Council and the Yahweh Matrix. Basically, Yahweh and the Galactic Council and the angels and everybody have an agreement with the Galactic Council, which is a collective of planetary representatives. The Galactic Council is not the same thing as the Galactic Federation. And Alabar, is like, well, under whose authority, right? Like, who's making these agreements? And Yahweh is setting up these, these structures that the Galactic Council is saying, okay, that's fine. Gaia is allowing guidance from the Galactic Council via the Yahweh Covenant. This was very upsetting for Alabar, because what it actually shows is that beyond our personal human relationship to free will, we don't have it as a planet. We don't have free will when it comes to collective futures, basically. Of course, there's like no future or past, but you know what I mean. Another thing that Michael said is that there have been, he referred to these time resets of actually creating different forms of time. Wasn't I just reading about that's how Metatron fell into the Yahweh matrix, by trying to reset time? So, the Cosmic Dragon Awakening. Oh, goodness. There's going to be a lot of names in here. But, it's important for us to just have this awareness. You can work with Metatron all you want. You can work with Michael all you want, as long as you understand that they are held within this matrix. And when you work with dragons, you are stepping outside of the covenant of the matrix that feeds the death cult, that is driven by Yahweh, that is in agreement to feed the black cube and the black hole systems. Here's some good news. The Easter Pearl activation began the first 3 events for Cosmic Dragon Awakening, which included the birthing of a white diamond Elohai Lyran sun into 11D Avion. Avion is where Avalon comes from, and the reunification of the triple solar masculine Christos template through the Cosmic Holy Father Rod code. Go to the Ascension Glossary. You can look up all of these names and words, which forms the universal Rod Trinity shield for Cosmic Christ sons. This is within the higher aspects of these beings: Cosmic Christ, Michael, Metatron, Melchizedek. So understanding this is the divine feminine, the divine masculine forms connected to Christ consciousness. So when we work with Michael, but we are working with Christ consciousness and not the Jesus structure, then we are working with the higher aspects, even with Metatron. And if you have a connection or a correlation within your field relationship with Melchizedek, that is also has had its highs and lows. And we have to just, like I said before, take everything with a grain of salt. Well, you're welcome here, Diane. Glad that you're here. Okay, keep going. The solar logos white Elohai sun is the emanation of the cosmic mother dragon of the first emerald sun, in which all of the feminine and masculine counterparts of Michael, Metatron, Melchizedek solar dragon family that were cloned or enslaved through the Alpha Draconis network are now being recovered and reunited with their hierogamic partner via the Cosmic Emerald Order Ankh body. So in 2024, in the fall, one of the first things that I did with my dragon was bring through these codes. She told me I have to bring through these codes in order for us to work together. And so first she brought through the dragon codes, and this is through transmitting through me sound, light language, right? And then we had the emerald crystal heart activation, which belongs to the order, the Emerald Order of Melchizedek. So this is referred here. Then the white Christed solar dragon codes. This is not a crucifixion. That's a crucifixion. This is a solar cross. Very different. Very different. Okay. The second stage of the Cosmic Dragon Awakening addressed the Peruvian gateways being controlled in Draco constellation, and this occurred during the lunar eclipse on May 16th, 2022, which activated Holy Mother and Holy Father dragon nodes that intersected on the Isla del Sol in Lake Titicaca, Peru. I've been there. The cosmic, actually, I was there on the sol. When was that? I was there on the summer solstice. Was it the summer solstice? No, it was a full moon. That's all. Silly girl. I was there on a really important day. That was just a full moon. The Cosmic Holy Father, in his amethyst god body, emanated the Metatron cosmic lilac sun. Like, some of this is like so much like, what? There's a lot to grasp here, right? So let me fast forward here. The Metatron Collective are from the first God world creation of the Emerald Order, and millions of years ago had become trapped in the WESA tunnel, W-E-S-A, and inverted, you hear me? Inverted through the AI entanglement technology, which was called Metatronic reversal. Thus, the Cosmic Father is heavily involved in Metatronic body restoration to rehabilitate and heal all plasmic flowering expressions for reclaiming the organic Metatron family through their genetic bonds being reconnected to the recently birthed Metatron sun. So the Metatron that the majority of people are working with is not the cosmic Christ Michael Metatron Melchizedek. No, they're working with the covenant of the fallen Metatron. These are two different energies. These are two different beings, my friends. Discernment is key. Discernment is key, right? So we can work with these energies when we are in alignment with the Christ consciousness. And this is not a religious thing. This is not religious. This is universal. This is beyond the human, creation of who we think God is, because we are constantly craving for the God is this and God is this. No. God is a structure. God is, Deepak said it, God is a construct. Christ consciousness and the one consciousness that is all of creation exists. We are all connected to it. It is not one thing that we are praying to and, asking for things from. It is something that we embody within ourselves and activate and access through our hearts. So we are not looking outside of ourselves, seeking outside of ourselves. We are not going to find Christ consciousness by looking at Yahweh. We're not going to find Christ consciousness by looking at sacred geometry. So here's another aspect, and this is really hard for humans to grasp, especially within, New Age structural beliefs. The next layer of control, so we have the 12 zodiac, that's one layer of control. We have the covenant, the Jesus covenant with Yahweh and the angels and demons. What we have on top of that is that this reality, this plane of existence was created. Well, wait, let me back off. Back up. So I also say Jehovian. So when I say Jehovian, I'm also referring to Yahweh, okay? And the covenants. When I say Jehovian, I'm referring to the covenant. So the Jehovian matrix will have you believe that we are infinite beings while telling you, giving you the structures of math and science that are based on a finite system, 1 through 9. It's called base 10. We know this. We learn this in elementary school. We learn that the math that we use, which reflects the time construct on this plane, the math that we use is base 10, 20, 30, 40, right? And all of the math is built off of that. And all of our sacred geometry is built off of that, right? What is being held from us is that true Christos with a K and the crystalline structure of our beings is 12. Because when we reach 13, we are beyond and in the infinite, and we are outside of body, and we are outside of structure. But structure is actually, it's right here within what we understand of our planes and what we have access to. The dimensions don't stop at 10. They keep going. And what we humans in body, in physical form, in structure, have access to is to this. And when we allow ourselves to accept that we have 12 strands of DNA that are not junk, right? Every time that we heal an inverted construct within our reality, we are creating opportunity for more of our DNA to come online. That's why this conversation and this information is so bloody important, because base 10 is the finite structures that the false ascension programs work within. Everybody's obsessed with their ascension journey, but where the fuck are you going? You think that you're leaving as you evolve? So I crack myself up. So we have to be willing to see things differently. Now, I am not a mathematician, and I don't know how to see the difference, right? Like, I don't know how to how to show you in mathematical terms, right, that the math that we're working with and relying on, the golden ratio, is a finite fractal. Now we're going to expand a little bit on this, okay? I want to show you a picture. Let me see if I can Okay, I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to show you. How do I do that? This one. Showing you my screen. Okay, so this is the flower of life that everybody's obsessed with, that was inserted into our consciousness thousands of years ago, laser cut into pre-existing temples. Yeah, including the Temple of Osiris in Egypt, in ancient Kemet, right? Laser cut into the temple wall. Also, you'll see it under the Phu dogs in Cambodia. So these like lion-like dogs have their paws over this spherical flower of life. What does that mean? What does that image even evoke from you? You know, control, limitation. You can only go so far. Now, you will be told that this is the splitting of cells, that the flower of death is mitosis. It's true. Cells split, right? And they kind of look like this. But this is a closed structure. This is not what you think it is. And let me tell you, those smart cities with 5G poles going up, they are being created in the mathematical equivalence of the flower of death. The true flower of life is based on base 12 mathematics and the spiraling of creation. Spiraling, okay? So how many of you had seen this before? Right? How many of you had seen this before? Yeah, so the circle around the flower of life, that is the sign that you're being limited, right? That is what also others have referred to as the slave planet, that this place is a place of enslavement. So let's get back to how we work with these beings, because my job here is to empower you, not to disempower you, right? I'm not here giving you this information because I want you to be scared or that I want you to run away from things that you've been working with. I want you to be informed. I want you to listen, take everything with a grain of salt, find what resonates, and move forward, right? So with myself, you know, how I'm working with this, I'm working directly with my dragon, and she says, yeah, you can continue to work with Archangel Michael to do the clearings. Absolutely. That's what he's here for. But know this, because we're working with more than just demons, unfortunately. And so because angels do have limits, because they have these covenants, they also have to respect free will, right? So when you call upon them, they have to help you. They have to, right? But I am not certain that they protect you as well as we think that they do. Because who are they if they're not helping? It's literally their desire to help us. And I have this sneaky suspicion that situations are created so that we will call upon them and ask them for help. Maybe. So it's important to know that let's remember, and I might have gotten off track with this, but remember that the dragons were driven away. They were killed. Some of them were turned to stone. Some of them left. And some of them have just simply been in hiding. The dragons are very upset, obviously for that reason, but for the presence of the covenant itself, because it takes away the collective human sovereignty. It takes away from our autonomy as a species, as a planet. Humanity has free will to a certain point. Humanity has free will. And once we get to that other point, they're going to choose for us the direction of our planet. They purposefully slowed down human evolution because we were going too fast. We were evolving too quickly. And their control was under threat if we evolve too quickly. Well, guess what? We're fucking awake. And Yahweh doesn't get to take charge anymore. And that's why there are so many women, especially, who feel like they are blocked, who feel like there's some invisible thing that's keeping them from their purpose, keeping them from their magic, from their medicine, from their alchemy, right? I have women come to me all the time and say, I got a clearing, but nothing has changed. That's because when we outsource our clearing to people and we're not present for the clearing, you will witness the work that needs to be done that they can't do. That's all I'm going to say about them. Okay? Clearings are not looking for these Jehovian structures that are hindering Sophias. And I would consider you a Sophia if you have the ability to break out of the matrix. Like, okay, well, you're not all Sophias. Not everybody resonates with that, and that's fine. But you have, once you do break out of the matrix and you separate yourself from these means of control, then you have a responsibility to activate yourself, to realize yourself, remember who you are. And if clearings aren't working, it's because you need alchemy. You need someone who has experience of taking down these structures. And let me tell you, they need to be an earth seed. Like myself, they cannot be a star seed. I'll tell you why. Because star seeds are not given the same foundational power that earth seeds are given. Being here for tens of thousands, millions of years, maybe some of us, being here for this long means that we have access to the power that Gaia, that Mother Terra, and that each of the planes within our planet hold. If you are from an external place, you don't have these blueprints, these templates within your being. So you need to seek an earth seed in order to remove these structures that are overlaying the planet. Personal opinion. Prove me wrong. Okay? Prove me wrong. I'm not saying that starseeds can't train in this stuff and can't learn it, but it's intrinsic for us. It already exists with us. We already have relationship with the ancient goddess that is required to circumvent Yahweh and break these structures apart. When I am in sessions where I see what literally looks like a cage made out of iron. I mean, but it's in the astral, right? Sometimes it'll look like a grid itself. If you've ever seen like woven iron, that's what it looks like to me. And I've seen these structures again and again and again, especially over women who are incredibly intuitive and psychic and powerful in their right, but they are in complete breakdown because they're being fully hindered. They're being completely blocked, whether it's energetically, financially, structurally. Their children aren't being allowed to come through. They're having a lot of miscarriages. Their beloved counterparts are also probably their handler, right? Or a parent might have been inserted as a handler, or they've been sucked into government mind control programs. These are all aspects of this covenant keeping you from your power outside of the covenant. Am I making sense? Somebody tell me this is making sense. You're being so quiet. Yes, this is so important. This is so important. So, where the angels have limits, the dragons do not. Okay? So dragons coming from the higher realms that are not, not only are they outside of this covenant, but they are breaking it apart. The covenant is falling apart. And there are, you're seeing people that are running to the church and people who are running away from the church while running towards Christ consciousness. They're running towards Yeshua. They're running towards Yeshua. Hallelujah. Go, baby, run. Right? But if you're going to run towards Yeshua, you're only running towards the masculine aspect of Christ consciousness. The whole being is Christosophia. The masculine and the feminine, they go together. This is why the higher levels of consciousness we cannot receive unless we are in a process of hieros gamos. Either we're doing that with ourselves and a non-physical higher consciousness, or we are working with another physical being that is holding our counterpart. This doesn't necessarily mean heteronormative relationships. This means masculine and feminine purely coming together in union to yoke the spirit and create the white flame with their true love. This is why there's so much distortion around the twin flames, right? Also, another topic for another day. So, here's something else that's really important to know and to understand. When we are dealing with reptilians and other other beings within the negative alien agenda, because the majority of these beings, some of them are drones and don't have souls, okay? A lot of grays, Zeta Reticuli, some of them are drones, some of them are still kind of embodied and have souls. Those that are sold, they also have free will because they're soul beings. And so this is one of the natural laws of this place, is that we cannot break free will. And so the angels, when it comes to these souled beings that are much more powerful than demons, they can remove them from your field, but they can't do anything about them. Okay? This is why it makes me, it helps to understand why my father's protocol is the way that it is, because he negotiates or he tries to negotiate, right, with these beings for them to find their own intrinsic light that actually never dies out. There's still always that little tiny piece of light because you cannot exist without it. They have to have, an ounce of creation within them that is light, right? And you can trick them by having them look inside themselves. How do you look inside yourself? You see that center of light? And when they see the light and they look at the light begins to grow and they don't have control over it. That's one thing that my father does when it comes to negative aliens. But let me tell you what. If angels can't take them away and put them somewhere else, who can? Dragons. So if you have, okay, interesting. More alchemy based. Corey, yes, alchemy. Corey, that is so funny. So, you're proving my statement. So, with dragons, it's very fucked up that divine will supersedes free will, but it's true. And dragons are in alignment with divine will. Yes, they will respond to you and your commands and your requests because they want to. But at the same time, when, angels and other beings like your Irma, your Lyrans, whatever your guides are, they're still held within these structures of free will. They're confined by it. Okay? I know this because I have Irma, the Irma guide. And so they will, confiscate them, right? And maybe they will take them back to their source. Maybe they'll take them back to Draco, or they'll take them back inside the planet where they live, some of them. But dragons, nope. Dragons, because they are higher realm and they're outside of the covenant, they're outside of this structure, can take them back to source. And I was seeing Rumara doing that. She would just, I was trying to, follow protocol. And she's like, what? You. And she would just come in and pick them up with her mouth and go back to source. She'd create a portal and take them all the way back to source. Whew. So when I saw her doing that, it really came down to yesterday and today of me having conversation with her, sitting with the dowsing rods, and be like, so why is it that you can do that and nobody else can? Or that dragons can do that? Yes, all dragons can do that. I'm sure it's like a level of dragon because dragons also have their own evolutionary learning process. Right? Things that they're able to do, capable to do, just like any being, right? We all grow and learn. And I know that Rumara was not always a golden dragon, that she evolved. Basically, she earned the level that she's at now. And she was a red dragon before that. So whenever I talk about her, my crown, it starts to get all prickly. So in my conversation with her, she's like, that's why you have me do the things that I do, because, the angels can only do so much. So let me remind you, if you don't already know, that dragons are available to all of us. And they want to be. Not only are they returning, they're actually already here. You just can't see them. But if you want to have a dragon, you tell your higher self to say, okay, higher self, I am ready to receive my dragon guardian or guide that is assigned to me. If there is not one that is assigned to me, I would like for there to be one to be assigned to me. This is literally how easy it is. But please keep coming back to for my highest good of the highest light, right? So in this, the big shift that's happening right now with the dragons returning, take advantage. Because we all need to continue breaking out of the matrix, breaking out of this covenant, right? There is a Christian prophet that I follow. His name is Lovey Elias, and or Elias, I guess. Have some water here. He's incredibly psychic. But what's interesting is observing his process. He gives all credit to Jesus, right? He gives all credit to God and the angel of the Lord that walks with him. So I don't know, Larissa. Do we not always have dragons with us when we are born here? I believe that the dragons are present. I believe that the dragons are omnipresent, and they come in all levels, they come in all forms, and they come here to help us, but we are not going to have an awareness of them until we're ready. I didn't give two shits about dragons until my dragon showed up. And then I was like, oh shit, everything is dragons now. And like, it's all just like, it's all divine timing. They come when they're meant to, and when you're ready. I would say that everybody has an angel that's assigned to them when you're born here because of the covenant. Whether you want one or not. I mean, they're helpful, to an extent, right? Remember that. So if you're interested and you want to have a conversation with a dragon, after this, at the top of the hour, is my weekly dragon circle. And so you can join our weekly conversations and, work. Let me get I can't do this and talk at the same time. You can ask questions. You can request healing from Rumara. She works quantumly. She has access to all the information. She's like, when I'm like, gosh, I don't know, I call on Rumara because she knows. She knows. Which is why I was having a conversation with her, because I'm like, I can sit here and think that I know things, right? But I will find out that I'm wrong as soon as I incorporate my dragon. Well, she's learned how to let people into the Zoom room when I'm out of the way. So we'll see you when you arrive, sweetheart, at 15 or 20 after, like you usually do. So then, Ariana, I want to say that whenever you have requests for the collective, because we asked that at the beginning, please let us know, send me a message or something if you have a request for the collective. Yeah, there's a few of you here that are in the dragon tribe, and you can share what that's like if you feel called. I think I finished everything that I was planning to say today. Let's keep in mind that not all beings really care about humanity's highest evolution. And this, the agreement, the contract, whatever it is between Gaia and this covenant and the galactic councils. I mean, I agree with Alabar that I think that it needs to be broken, and that there needs to be a new agreement created, because there are other galactics, sovereign galactics, positive and neutral, that want us to evolve, that are here supporting our evolution. And remember that, we only know about these star systems that are the closest to us, energetically, historically, species-wise, humanoid, right? But there are hundreds of millions of stars with planets with conscious life on them. And we're only just at the threshold of understanding that. So it's important for us to also know that there are egotistically oriented hierarchies that are also within other galactic groups. And that not all galactic groups actually are serving the highest good, serving the divine plan, right? I'll finish with this. Everything that you do comes from the power of your intention. You have the ability and the opportunity in every moment to choose the divine plan, highest good, highest self. I encourage you to do that. I encourage you to learn how to listen to your gut more. I encourage you to learn kinesiology and muscle testing, to work with your pendulums and your dowsing rods so that you can converse with these higher energies. Because we need to be circumventing this covenant. And there are people who are literally flocking to religion right now. Let them. Let them. They're finding comfort in the word of God. Let them. Let them. They will learn in their own time what is truth within and truth universal, right? Over time. There's so much to learn. Please keep an open mind. And as I always say, take it with a grain of salt. But I really encourage you to go down the rabbit hole that is the Ascension Glossary. And there is an awesome guy. He is a psychologist or a psychotherapist. He's Dr. Samuel Lee. And I spelled it wrong. Did I spell that wrong? Ascension. Did I spell it right? I spelled it right. So, the wisdom that he is sharing, he's pulling from the Ascension Glossary. He is, he's not sharing it as his own. He's just, providing the information, but he's also not sharing where it's coming from, which, would be good of him to do that. But he is sharing the work of Lisa Renee that is incredibly valuable. And we need to understand when we see checkered floors, right? When we see black box, white box, we see these structures, we see these secret societies and Masonic structures. All of these are feeding and coming from the black cube matrix and the black hole systems. So these are feeding the negative alien agendas. These are also feeding the covenant. They are making sure that you are within it, that you stay within it. And yes, the reptilians are fully part and parcel, right? Fully working through these religions, controlling these religions, right? In direct relationship with the angels, in direct relationship with Yahweh. So if if you're of the belief system that anything that is not God is demonic, within that structure, technically kind of is. If it's not angelic, it's demonic, because that's the structure. That's the consciousness of the matrix. So remove yourself from it. Listen to your heart. Trust that your heart will lead you right, will lead you in alignment. And we're going to have to keep pulling back these layers, peeling back the fabrications that are built all around us, and also seeing where the distortions are, and declaring your decree, your free will is incredibly powerful, and you can actually amplify it with your guides, with the presence of the dragons and the unicorns. But using your free will, I do not agree. I do not consent to this covenant. I do not participate in it, and I do not give it any of my energy. But I will use the tool of the Archangel Michael and the angels of the white light when there are demons present, because that's the natural law here. And if there's something more, I'm going to use my dragons, because they need to be taken care of and taken off planet and returned to source and uncreated. There's a whole lot more coming. We're going to continue this conversation. I want to announce two things. Oh, well, in 2 weeks, maybe 2 weeks from yesterday, the Magdalene Mentorship starts. So if you are interested in the Magdalene Mentorship, if you're feeling financially, I can't do that, will you please talk to me? Because I work with every woman to make sure that they can train in what they want to train in, and that there's not a financial block to that. So know that. And next month, I am teaching my SRT process. It includes Michael, it includes the dragons, and it includes muscle testing as well. So the evolution of my father's protocol. And we're going to keep talking about this. I'm going to start having open office hours, an open conversation on Tuesdays on my Patreon. So if you're a member of my Patreon, whether you're a free member or a paying member because you're a member of the tribe, or you receive monthly sessions for $65 a month subscription, you get a session. Obviously, it's not free. You have access to the Dragon Tribe, anything that I do within my Patreon, and you have monthly sessions with me and my dragon. And that's only $65 a month. My sessions, an hour session with me is $180, just so you know. Anything else? Gosh, I'm going to need this 15-minute break before our Ramara circle. So if you're not following me already, please do give my page a follow so that you can stay in tune. You can join my Patreon for free and have access to that private circle that's going to be happening on Tuesdays, and also just stay in tune with everything that I'm doing. I love you all so much. I want to give so much love to the Divine Mother Sophia, from where we all come, from the divine womb source. Thank you to Ramara for supporting this clarity, supporting me in the delivery of it as well, and to all of the divine beings who hold this space. We release you. Thank you so much. Stay if you will, go if you must. Blessed be. Have a beautiful week, my friends. Happy Valentine's Day. I hope that you love yourself so much. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.